Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Core, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Core specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Core can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscore.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Core are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening and a very warm welcome to you. It indeed is a very warm welcome to you all. You're tuning in live to Season 5 of the Football Out West show. My name's Tonchi Prusak. It's an absolute pleasure to bring to you the start of Season 5, and I've got my trusty two co-hosts joining me every night as they do. First of all, Steve Curtin. Steve, good evening. How are you? Good to have you on board.
Oh, very well. Yeah, it's good to be back together again, mate. It feels like it's been an eternity since we signed off in 2022. But here we are again. The new season's here. It's been a really big weekend with the NPL 1 starting this weekend, but also the NPL 2. So it's been double trouble this week in terms of great football action, but also in terms of how busy it's been for us to try and get around and see what's happening in the action. It's been a warm one too, but it's good to be joined by yourself again, Tonchi, and hello to everyone in the comments. There's some big names in there: Vlad, Santino, Clint, and
the usual suspects.
Yeah, we hope all the usuals, and I'm sure many more, maybe some new faces as well, perhaps. But yeah, look, big thanks. We got those new sponsors on board, so really glad to have them on board and make the show happen again for a new year, for a 5th season. But yeah, Tonchi, how have you spent the weekend, mate? You've been a busy bee.
It has been. It's been a busy off-season. Before we go any further, massive shout-out to our major sponsor for season 2023, NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Core. They've stepped up to the plate, and a really big thank you to Nick and everyone out there at NJT Carpentry, and to Owner Builders Core, which is basically owned by the same company. Massive shout-out to George Cross, Caroline Springs, George Cross, Mark Sultana, and the rest of the crew out there. They were massive supporters and sponsors of the Football Out West show over the past 3 years. They've decided to move on to their own thing. We wish them all the very best, and to all the George Cross fans, members, supporters as well. We hope that you keep on tuning in to the Football Out West show. Now, Steve, let's talk about me. Let's talk about Sunday nights would not be the same without the irreverent antics of the wild Welshman himself. And he's joining us here, Craig Filer. Good on you, Craig. How are you, mate? It's great to have you on the show. How you been, mate? How's things with you?
Good, gents. Yeah, good. Very good. Had a nice break. Football never stops, does it? As we all know. And it's been a pretty manic 3 months, and certainly a manic hour and 15 minutes since I left Steve at Churchill Reserve at actually 7:10. We left Churchill Reserve and made it back to Werribee, and I will be sending the fines to you shortly for the speeding fines, don't you? And you can pay those.
See you in court, buddy. See you in court. For those of you not aware,
and us
Steve
too as well, yeah.
Earlier tonight, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but they commentated the big Croatian derby, the Western Suburbs derby in at Churchill Reserve between St Albans and the Melbourne Knights, and we've got a jam-packed show. We will talk about that game and all the other games that kicked off the NPL Victoria 2023 season. we've got a couple of brilliant guests. Craig, tell us about some of those guests.
Yeah, we have. We've got Young Matildas are currently training as in Wyndham, using Werribee City Football Club as their base in preparation for their Asian Cup tournament that's coming up in March, and we'll touch a little bit on that. We're then going to speak to the two newcomers, I suppose, of NPL football. They're not new to the show, but there's a bunch of North Geelong Warriors, Stuart Begg, who had a fantastic win. And we'll also be speaking to Aidan Mathers, who's taken a strong South Melbourne team in the
Looks
opening
like the internet gremlin
game on
hitting Werribee South, Steve. Craig, you're cutting out a little bit, and it looks like we've got some pretty bad reception down your end for whatever reason. So the Gremlins, they haven't been dormant over the summer break. Let me tell you, they're still alive and well. The Craig,
prevalent.
mate, you've got. Yeah, Craig, you've had a very, very, very busy, very busy off season. You've got a new gig. I'm not sure if you want to talk too much about that, but if we talk about football, it has been a very, very big off season. But mate, this year is going to be huge. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2023.
Tonch, I can't because I missed half the question because of this internet here. So it appears that I've got problems tonight in Werribee, which is unusual. So I'm going to come off and then I'm going to come straight back on again.
The reality, folks, is he's actually coming live from Wales. I think that's the bad internet. They must have a blizzard happening over in Wales. I'm not sure that's probably what the issue is. But Craig's going to come off a little bit, and he's going to then come back on, and we'll see if we can get a little bit happening there. But Steve, like we said, season 5, you've moved up to Melbourne, so you're now an out and out Melburnian, shall we say?
Yeah, I just really wanted to lean into the whole. Yeah, I just wanted to lean into the whole football out west scene, and I thought living in Melbourne's west was the best way to do that. So that's what I've done, purely just for the reasons for this show. So I think that's,
ladies and gentlemen,
the commitment we need.
Yeah, a little bit of background. I myself am a Geelong boy. Craig's in Werribee, and now Steve is covering the western suburbs of Melbourne, living in the western suburbs of Melbourne, or inner west, if you like. So we have got everything down pat. We've got everything covered. And as we said, tonight we've got some really, really good guests. Craig is involved with Werribee City, and he was down during the week when the Young Matildas had their camp. So it was absolutely fantastic. And he's back there. Craig, how are you? We were just talking about, you were down at Werribee City during the week, the Young Matildas camp, and we've got the coach of the Young Matildas coming on very shortly, Leah Blaney. She's actually in the green room, the famous green room backstage. But, mate, tell us some of the legacy things that are happening already as a result of the Women's World Cup on a local kind of scale, particularly with Werribee City and Galvin Park, because some exciting things happening there. Oh, no, he's frozen. We might have to go out with... There he is. Oh,
maybe, look, now, Tonchi, just an idea, just thinking outside the box for the new season. Perhaps we could get Leah to replace Craig on the show as a regular host, perhaps, if, maybe where she is generally located, the Football Australia ensures that she has very good internet connectivity, and, maybe that's what we need for 2023.
I'll vote. I'll vote Craig out and Leah in. We will be speaking to Leah Blaney, the young Matildas coach, later in the show. But mate, it was probably worth now going straight to the to tonight's news desk. We're going to keep it very short. We're going to keep it simple, but we will be touching on the Australia Cup results played over the weekend. So stay tuned, folks. Steve and the news desk coming up very shortly. Sorry, Gremlins.
All right. Shall we kick off the news desk for the new year for 2023, the 19th of February. Good evening and a very good Sunday evening to you all. The Australia Cup Round 2 matches took place on the weekend. Some of these teams that advanced include Truganina Hornets with a 2-0 win, a 1-0 win on the road also for Monash City, Villarreal, some Spanish influence there getting through. Moonee Ponds United getting through on pens against Sandown. Somerville Eagles going down to Manningham Juventus, an away win for Greenvale United, and a home win for Glen Waverley. St Kevin's Old Boys going down 4-2 on pens to Monash Uni. Uni Hill Eagles, they're going good, aren't they? 4-1 winners going through. Barnstone Worth United, 3-2 winners in maybe a bit of a thriller there against the Hampton Park United Sparrows. A one-sided win for the Croydon City Arrows as they advance 7-1 against Hunnett United. Chisholm United getting through 2-0 against the West Side Strikers of Caroline Springs. Endeavour United also advancing. Glenroy Lions, they got through on penalties. Bayside Argonauts got through 2-1 against the Plenty Valley Lions. A good result there for them. Regional Victoria doing well. Tatura, 3-2 winners over the Point Cook Jets. Dandenong South got through. Heidelberg Stars went down to Melton Phoenix, who got through 3-2. Diamond Valley United getting through in extra time, 4-3 against Riverdale. Latrobe University knocking out Barwon Soccer Club, who were so good last season, Barwon. Another good country club here, Tonchi, Epsom Soccer Club, 5-0 winners away at Mount Eliza. They go through. I think this is as far as Epsom has been. So well done to everyone.
They're a Bendigo side, aren't they, Steve, from your old neck of the woods?
They might even be a former side of mine where I spent about 15 or so years. So well done to everyone at the Scorpions there. Ringwood City getting through as well as Roeville Eagles getting over Surf Coast. So unlucky Surf Coast there. Recently got Adrian Layer in as a football director there. Roeville Eagles getting through on penalties. Williamstown, the club that's getting some new change rooms and facilities, look great at the moment down at JT Gray. They got through 3-0. Ashburton United getting through. Sebastopol Vikings also advanced. Sale United, another win for a countryside. Congrats to them. Sunbury United, a club we featured on the show a little bit in the past, 2-1 winners against Shepparton South. Lara United, well done to them. They got a win on the road at Spring Hills. White Star Dandenong advanced. St Kilda got through over Laverton on penalties. And what else? We got some matches that took place today. If you know the scores, put them in the comments. Melbourne City against Thornbury Athletic and Mentone against the Templestowe Wolves. A few teams advanced through with that having to kick a ball as well, and that includes Casey Panthers, North Melbourne Athletic, Heidelberg Eagles, Rosebud, Shepparton South, and Watsonia Heights. Big thank you to Brenton Ray, who makes all of this possible. He's the best in the business, and thank you for your help. And I'm sure he's across those scores of the matches that went through today. He's got the Keilor Wolves with a 3-2 win there. So, yes, thanks, Brenton. And, good luck to everyone. The draw will take place, I'm told, this week. I'm not sure what day. It might not be until Tuesday, but the draw for round 3. So good luck to everyone who's still in the hat, and may you go all the way this season in the Australia Cup.
Now, for loyal followers of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, I have been keeping an eye out on some of those Geelong clubs. Now, in State 5, Lara United, keep an eye out for Lara United. They did very, very well and defeated Spring Hills, who was a team in State 4 last year. So they've recruited pretty well, Lara United. They've got the fella that scored the goal for Lara United, Connor McGrath, his brother, Lachlan McGrath, plays for North Geelong Warriors, now in NPL. But they had something like 45, 46 players trialling only as far back as about 3-4 weeks ago. Their coach, Eric Lawrence, has really amassed a very good team. And there's a fella there who's making his comeback after about 4 or 5 years playing in the local leagues, Damien Nasta. Now, some of you may remember him.
I've heard about this guy.
May send a bit of a shudder down some of your spines, those State 5 sides. I mean, this guy was a 20 to 25 goal a season player. So he's making his comeback back at Lara United. Great to see Sale United. Sale defeat Swinburne 3-2. And Tatura, did you say Tatura went really, really well as well?
A couple of wins for those country sides. Yeah, Sale, Tatura. They're in...
where are they?
Tatura's in up near Shep, and they've actually joined forces with the Bendigo Amateur Soccer League. So a lot of those teams are now playing against the Bendigo sides. So that's a really strong competition, and it's difficult with the distance, but from Melbourne. But it can be a benefit from these sides because you don't lose as many players to Melbourne-based competition, and there's some really good players going around. But particularly Shepparton, you always think of the players that have come out of there. Vince Lee is probably one obvious one that comes to mind. But the Shepparton and Bendigo competition is something I might try and look. I might even try and get up to a match this season in that competition, and maybe we can send some footage back.
Oh, that'd be good. Adrian Leah, former Socceroo legend and Melbourne Victory defender. He's been named the football director at Surf Coast State 4 side. There's going to be a great battle there in between Surf Coast and Barwon Soccer Club. They're the rivals down south in Geelong, but they're an early favourite in State 4 West. They're going to be a really tough side. They've got some good players, and they've picked up Christian Mahon, who was Barwon's and State League 5's top goal scorer of the competition. Shut up, Craig. I heard that comment. Speaking of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, it's a sister show of the Football Out West Show. A major announcement coming up within the next 7 days, so do stay tuned. And we are being simulcast at the moment through Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page and Twitter. So do spread the word, folks. Football Out West Show is back for another year. But the question is Craig Filer back? Craig, have we got you back? Maybe.
I think so, gents. I think we finally got rid of the... Can you hear me?
Still...
Yes,
yeah.
Carry on.
What's it like in Wales? It seems to be that you're not only 10 hours back, it seems to be like a millennium back as far as internet. Are you in Wales or Werribee? Get those two W's mixed up.
No, I'm in Werribee, but it feels like I've gone back to Pontcookistan, the way we had no internet a few years ago. Yeah, that was.
We might have to move out to the garage. That was probably the pinnacle of the Football Out West era. Was Craig in the garage? I think there's a potential spin-off side project there for that one.
Now, gents, we're going to take a very, very quick break. Before we do take a quick break and introduce our first guest for the evening, Craig, let's try this. Take two. You've been involved down at Werribee City, and you were down there during the week. And just tell us about some of the already visible legacy items or legacy things that are happening down in the western suburbs as a result of the upcoming Women's World Cup. Some really exciting things happening.
And it's great for football, and great to see that the Women's World Cup is coming to Australia, and the fact that three venues have been selected for World Cup teams as a camp base, and it happens to be Werribee have been one of those clubs chosen. Of course, on the back of that, then they've got some money coming from FIFA, and obviously Wyndham Council have been prevalent in that, and they've done a lot of work on the pitches. Obviously, the young Matilda's been training there for the last week. Got another few days left of that, and then in June we've got the Morocco Lionesses training out of Werribee and staying at Werribee Man. So it is a leg because the pitch has been upgraded, the lights been upgraded, the whole place looks fantastic. If you haven't seen the photos on their Facebook page, I urge you to go and have a look at them because the facilities are fantastic at the moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Don't go away, because after this short commercial break, we will be back with Leah Blaney, the coach of the Young Matildas, and there will be some photos that we'll have in the background of the pristine surface that is Galvin Park, or Costa Park as it is now known, home of Werribee City Football Club. Don't go away, folks. It's episode 102, believe it or not, season 5 of the Football Out West Show, proudly brought to you this year by NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Corps. We thank Nick very much from those two organisations. Don't go away, folks. We'll be back after this very short commercial break.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. And Craig, who's our very first guest of the night?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I've been lucky enough to have a quick chat with our next guest this week, but it's the Young Matildas head coach. She's been on the show before, so she's not new to us. It's Leah Blair. Good evening, Leah.
G'day, guys. It's a pleasure to join you, and I'm really excited to be in Victoria at the moment, enjoying the pristine facilities that Galvin Park have arranged for us.
I thought you were going to say the pristine weather. It has been very tropical
It's good all the time,
like
Leo.
weather. Oh, goodness me, I tell you what, and this is not the usual case here in Victoria and Melbourne, but we're going to enjoy it as much as we can. Thanks, Leah. Firstly, thanks for joining us here on the Football Out West show. In fact, welcome back to the Football Out West show. I think we had you on last year. As you said, you're enjoying the pristine facilities there at Werribee City, but you've had during the week there was a lot of activity there, and we're going to play a little bit of some footage there in the background while we're speaking to you. What was the attention like from young and old, male and female, the general and wider football and sporting public down at Werribee City this week? Just from the photos and from what Craig's been telling me, it seemed like it was a real buzz.
Yeah, look, it's been fantastic. On Wednesday, we obviously held the open training session where the general public were able to come and watch the Young Matildas in action. We had coaches attend, we had young boys, young girls. It really, really was a good afternoon of football on and off the pitch. There's been other opportunities throughout the week as well for different coaching staff to come in and watch some of the sessions. Our head of sports scientists at Football Australia, Fabian, actually spent time presenting to some local sports scientists as well, just in terms of some of the stuff in their arena. So it's definitely been a really mutually benefiting visit for both Football Australia as well as a lot of the local community and aspiring coaches and sports scientists in particular.
And Lee, you've even taken the chance to play a friendly match against a local team from the Western region as well. That's coming up, I think, tomorrow. Yeah,
it is. We actually played Melbourne City yesterday out at City Vista, and then Casey Field, my bad. And the scheduled against Western United is at Werribee tomorrow with a 10 a.m. kickoff. We're really excited to obviously, they're hosting us, but we're hosting Western United in Werribee tomorrow. So it should be a very challenging match for our Young Matildas.
And speaking of the Young Matildas and the next crop of superstars, what's the thing that most excites you? And then part two of that question, what's the thing that you feel we need to work most on to get the next generation up to a world-class level as far as the Young Matildas are concerned?
Yeah, look, I think, yeah, no, that's fine. Look, I definitely think we're seeing players come through who are technically better and are a little bit more well-rounded in terms of our development of especially young kids across the country. And a lot of that is, some of the investment in the coaches and the coaching they're receiving at an early age, playing with boys and being challenged and those kind of things. I think obviously the future holds, and the challenge for us is just to continue to nurture and challenge these young players. And if I use the fact that we're playing against the two on the table top teams in the A-League right now, that's certainly not taking a backward step to putting these girls out of their comfort zone and in games where they're going to get exposed at times, and they're just going to get that challenge that they need as often as possible before we take on other powerhouses in world football.
And Leah, there's been a little bit of talk over the last week, which you've probably heard of, suggestions that maybe, a proposal to have a Young Matilda side playing in the A-League Women's, perhaps. What are your thoughts on the pros and cons concept, and is that something that could work going forward with with the squad in such a fashion?
Yeah, look, obviously I'm aware of that coming up recently in some of the media stuff, and I'm always going to say I'm going to be so supportive of our players gaining higher match minutes. That's going to be something that's really important for young players across the country moving forward. I like coaching each week, so I wouldn't say it's a bad idea, but that's certainly something that was thrown out there. Without anything that comes from us at this point, but I definitely like the idea.
Well, we got to think
Very good.
outside the box, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
10 years or so ago, the Matildas were just, so far ahead, but then the whole world started catching up. So innovation is something that definitely we have to be at the forefront of the way we go forward. But if we're looking into the future, Leah, I know coaches hate this question about singling out individuals. But, if you were to name several players that really you feel have got an exciting future ahead of them, which are some of the players who can we expect to become household names in the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting question, and I'm probably firstly going to speak to the performance of a young player who still is 20 years of age in Kyra Cooney Cross. If we look at the recent Matildas games, we look at the game that just finished 20 minutes ago. You've got a 20-year-old who is also a Victorian as well, who is absolutely starting to stamp her authority and shine on the international stage. So I think if we're talking players who still are actually only 20 years of age, you've got her, you've got Mary Fowler, you've got Courtney Nevin, all in the senior Matildas, and we probably put them now into an age group where we think they're a lot older than what they are, but they're still, a year ago they were teenagers themselves. If I was talking about this group now, there's so many of them who are getting excellent match minutes in our A-League and playing in teams that are in our top four in our A-League, and some are starting. If that gives you an indication into what the future looks like, and some of the players that are really stepping up in their club environments. So I guess it's also not just sort of I'm putting them in high regard. Their A-League coaches are as well, because that's a lot of responsibility to be 17 years of age and starting in teams that are doing very well.
Very true. Now back to your squad, Leah. The trip coming up over to Uzbekistan. What can we expect there for the group, and how exciting is that proposition for you and the girls?
We're really excited. This will be our first overseas tour with this cohort. So previously, most of these were under 17s eligible, although we did take 7 to our World Cup just gone that they're in camp with us at the moment. But in saying that, it's a clean slate from my end. Our selections that'll come at the end of this camp will be based on camp performances, not last year's resume. But we're looking forward to the games. Tournament mode is a little bit different to camp mode. It'll be interesting to see who travels well. It's a very, very long flight. Those kind of things come into play when you're working with 17. Some of our girls are still only 16-year-olds. I think our oldest turned 19 yesterday, actually, Carly Johnson. So happy birthday.
Oh, all good people are born in February, can I just say, folks? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. It's my birthday on Tuesday, folks. But getting back to more serious things. Leah, we talked about thinking outside the box and the young Matildas almost being part of the A-League Women's, but we've also seen expansion happening there with Western United, a local team, and they're doing very well. A-League Women's. In Victoria, Steve, we mentioned last year and spoke extensively about how NPL Victoria Women's competition is also expanding quite dramatically. It's growing. Obviously, there are more teams playing at a higher level, which gives a lot more opportunity for younger players in particular. Leah, are we on the right track across the rest of the country? Victoria seems to be doing really well, and we're very happy with the way things are going here, but obviously they can always go better. What about the rest of the states? Are they following suit as well?
Yeah, look, I think everybody's contributing to our national team at the moment. If I speak specifically to that, if you look at this current group of players who have been named, and it was unfortunate that we had young Sasha Curry from Adelaide not be able to attend camp. Otherwise, we would have had 4 girls from Adelaide in our camp selection. So I think you can see that all states are contributing to the national team at the moment. Some states obviously are better resourced, might have a higher population of players as well. We have to take those things into consideration always. Speaking specifically to the Victorians right now in camp, it's great to see young Alana Murphy, Ava Breedis has come in with the group. And then unfortunately, Naomi Chinema was unavailable through injury. So that's a player that we're hoping is eligible for our AFC qualification to be held in June.
Yeah, and can we just switch over to, because it is the World Cup here at senior level, can we just talk a little bit about what your thoughts are about the senior national team, the Matildas? They had a bit of a rough trot during last year with a winless streak, and then since when was it about since they played Sweden at Amy Park, they've just been unable to stop scoring goals. And a 3-2 win against Spain just finished a short time ago. How do you see us going in the World Cup on the top stage, the pressure of home crowd, all that sort of thing? And will Tony G give you a call to do some scouting for opposition teams or something like that to be involved?
Yeah, look, I'm definitely hoping to be involved. And in terms of the girls, again, they just finished, 20 minutes ago. And the performance against Spain, I think that sets a really good tone. We're scoring goals. The girls are enjoying their football out there. I think we're starting to see that the group is tactically flexible as well, which is an excellent place to be in. And you always want to go into a World Cup with momentum and winning. And right now the girls they're on that trajectory. And I think it's a really exciting time for the Matildas.
Absolutely is.
Any more questions, Steve? No, that's
we might be almost out of
on.
time. We're very excited about Victoria getting the home of the Matildas. They're out at Bundoora soon as well. So we look forward to seeing you down in Melbourne a lot of the time in the future, I think, Leah.
I look forward to coming back. As I said at the start, everything has been exceptional. It's been a really, really good trip for us.
Yeah, and next time you're down, we'll chat to you about replacing Craig Filer on the substitutes bench. No, well, thank you very much, Leah, for joining us. All the very best. It's going to be a huge year, not just for your squad, the young Matildas, but for women's football and football in general in Australia. We are really going to be at the forefront, celebrating it along the way, and we look forward to that. So we look forward to that. I think Craig's trying to jump on. Let's see if Craig wants to say any last words as well. Like we haven't got any photos of him, but this might be an improvement. Craig, you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear. We just can't see you.
That's a good thing. So, no, listen, I heard all that, and obviously I've had the chance to speak to Leah this week, and look, wish you all the best with your upcoming tournament. I know it's a big tournament. Obviously, getting through this stage will be fantastic for you as you go into round 2 later on in the year, and I'll certainly be looking forward to watch you take on the A-League Women's of Western United tomorrow.
Brilliant. Thanks, boys, for having me.
All right, thanks
for your time, Leah. All
Absolute pleasure. That's Leah Blaney, the coach of the young Matildas, joining us here on the Football Out West show. Gents, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, it's all about the NPL men's round 1 competition that started on the weekend, just finished earlier tonight. We've got the first of our guests, first of the new kids on the block, let's call it that, Adrian Mathers. He's the coach of Moreland City. He'll be joining us straight after the break. Folks, don't go away. It's Football Out West show, episode 102. Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Core specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Core can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscore.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Core are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Welcome back, folks, to the Football Out West show. And gents, I tell you what, so excited. I don't know about you guys, but it's great to have NPL football back in town. And the weekend saw round one of both the NPL 1 and NPL 2 competitions, the men's competition. Steve, you've got the results there quite handy and updated with the games today. Let's go through the results and then we'll talk a little bit about the game that you and Craig co-commentated earlier today. Oh, yep. No. Steve's now gone.
That's just a couple of gremlins.
That's better.
Last night's
no. Craig, what have you done? You just
huge
passed
points
on the gremlins to.
Oh.
I'm back.
I'm back. Been here all this time.
Oh, dear.
Steve, you there?
Do I need to leave?
Oh,
I need to leave and come back again? Well,
yeah. Yeah, it might have to be. That might have to be the case. Craig, let's go through some of the results. Okay, Friday night. Well, Steve called it earlier today on the live commentary, the live stream of the Melbourne Knights and St Albans game. Possibly the result of the round. New Kids on the Block, North Geelong Warriors 3 defeated Bentley Greens 1. Big result there at Kingston Heath on Friday night. But prior to that, on the Thursday night, South Melbourne had a tough game against Moreland City. The New Kids on the Block. We'll talk a little bit more about that, Craig. We've got Andy Mathers coming up, Adrian Mathers, coming up very, very shortly. 2-1 to South Melbourne, but geez, they were made to play that game. They were made to really earn those 3 points, Craig.
Yeah, they were. It was a great performance by Moreland City. 75 years in the making of getting into the big dance, and they didn't do themselves an injustice on Thursday evening in some incredible heat, 38-degree heat down there at Lakeside Stadium against what we know is a very strong and physical South Melbourne side. But they did themselves very well. Unfortunately, just falling up short 2-1. But you can see here from the goals that the opening goal came just on half time, which was a great time to score a goal, and see what it meant to everybody to score that opening goal in NPL football.
Great crowd that, by the way, on Thursday night. Did a fantastic crowd, as we mentioned. Then you can see a little bit of a snippet there. All the games this year are being streamed, as was the case last year, on NPL TV. So do get yourself, download the app. That's probably the easiest way, and then you can cast and stream it onto your TV. Or the other option is to just watch it on the browser, npl.tv, and that'll allow you to do that as well. I think we've got Steve in the background. Steve, you joining us?
Hello.
Yeah, we got him. Yes,
hello and good evening.
Microphone.
On the 39-minute mark of the first half here.
Yeah, we're alive.
Yes.
We're going through some of the Friday night games there. Here's the highlights of the Bentley Greens North Geelong game. North Geelong, first 15 minutes, Steve, really a little bit rusty. A couple of nervous mistakes there could have cost them dearly, but they managed to weather the storm. And then this happened. The goals started happening. A couple of defensive blunders by Bentley, and the Warriors in the end 3-1 winners.
Blunders, that was like something you see in a park on a Sunday morning when you're under eights. That's horrible defending.
Oh, wasn't it ever?
Horrible.
Wasn't it ever? But anyway, Steve, you've got the results of some of these games. Did you want to go through it?
It was comedy capers here. We'll see this goal from the set piece. This was a well-worked goal for North, finished off by Marvin Browvila, who's just come across from Geelong Soccer Club in the NPL 3. So this got them on their way, and it was probably the result of the weekend, really. North Geelong not really favoured, albeit had a huge regeneration of their squad, and Nick Tolios, no coach. So, yeah, a really good result for North. The 3-1 was also the scoreline, but the other way around for the home team. Oakleigh Cannons. The Ians defeating, a pretty strong and stacked Green Gully side, but a really good win there for the Cannons. Dandenong Thunder, a win on the road at Olympic Village, knocking off Heidelberg on the early evening kickoff yesterday. Port Melbourne 2 finished with 10 men against Avondale 2, and the other match 1-1 between Altona Magic and Hume City, the Saturday night fixture. That kind of had draw written all over it for some reason. I could just see that happening. And also a draw this afternoon, St Albans Saints and the Melbourne Knights 1-1, and that was just a very exciting match. George Ott scoring against his old team, the New Zealander, and then, of course, it was the veteran Ivan Franic scoring against the club that's got his jersey up on the wall in their social rooms about 3 or 4 times over, and he didn't celebrate the goal, and it was a special moment for him on his return to the Knights, I think, and they shared the points.
Craig, obviously, your take on today's game. You and Steve co-hosted that big Western Suburbs derby, the big Croatian derby between Melbourne Knights, St Albans. A lot of new faces in the Melbourne Knights lineup, and as Steve said, Ivan Franic, the returning prodigal son, he equalised there for the Knights. Very conspicuously, he did not celebrate that goal. Obviously, St Albans is his junior club. But how did you see that first game of first Western Suburbs derby of the season?
Yeah, look, as you said, it was a big game for both teams. St Albans having 8 new starters, Melbourne Knights having 9. Ben Carr coming down from Olympic in Queensland, where he's been very successful over the last couple of seasons, and obviously Ryan McGuffey taking over the reins of a club that he knows very well, having played for the game. But look, the game was fast. It was frenetic. The pitch was very hard. Although it's probably in the best condition I've seen it for a long time, but it was very hard, very bobbly, and as we know, the pitch up at Churchill Reserve is very narrow, so it's not probably a game for the pure spectacle of football. But it was a good game for the first back. The crowd was amazing, Steve. It was I think Steve called 2,000, but it was 4 or 5.
2,500.
It was gone up, is it? Okay, it was 4 or 5 deep on the far side, and certainly on the bank behind us there was probably another good 500 people there. It was a really good atmosphere, and it's great to see MPL football back, as you said earlier on, Tonch. It's been a long time, but I can see this season being a real dogfight for everybody, and I think there's going to be some shocks throughout the season.
Absolutely. It's time now for our guest. Craig, did you want to do the introductions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. 75 years it took Moreland City to get to the promised land, and they did it in unique style with 2 games to go. But over the moon to have Aid Mathers joining us this evening for a chat.
Hello, Adrian. You there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Craig, off you go.
Yeah, mate.
No, I'm well. How are you guys?
Very good, mate. Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Now
Very good. How was your first and
about...
foremost? How was your off-season break? Was it well rested?
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah, and then sort of straight back into the planning as expected. But we had some challenges through the pre-season, just with access to grounds and some injury issues and things like that. But I'm sure every club sort of went through some similar things, or I know a lot of other clubs went through some similar things. But all in all, not too bad.
Now, Adrian, something like, I think 3/4 of the squad is basically the squad from last year. So it's been a very loyal approach by the club to reward a lot of those players that achieved first place in NPL 2 last year. As a result, have you kind of sort of had to kind of change your expectations of what you're expecting this year, or are you pretty confident? Because they always say, the first the promoted clubs will always, be the favourites to suffer the drop. But look, judging by Thursday's game, Moreland City did very, very well to take one of the league's powerhouses right to the very, very end.
Yeah, I think I think, almost sort of without talking about Thursday's game initially, the approach was maybe partly through resources and budgets and things like that. But our squad was and is quite young. We have some experienced heads, no doubt, but a lot of the team that finished the season in 2022 were 22 or under. A good portion, maybe 11 of our 16 that played in the last game against North Geelong. So I suppose we've taken the mentality that we're just looking for natural improvement from that group. We feel that they're not at their best yet in terms of their maturity, and as they grow and get older as footballers, that they'll continue to develop and the best will come. So we've felt that there'll be some growth in that aspect. I mean, we knew we needed to add, but again, whether it was partly through resources, budget, things like that, potentially, but we also wanted to remain loyal to those that contributed to our success in 2022.
Yeah, certainly some good performers in the team last season, Adrian. But those new signings, complementing those. James Hooper scoring from the set piece opportunity, that would have put a smile on face just before halftime on Thursday night. What can we expect from him this season?
It's good talent. I mean, obviously coming over from the UK, and I suppose from a very hot night on Thursday, he was going to probably feel the conditions more than most, obviously, and certainly in the preseason games prior to that, there'd been some hot weekends, and it came in and done quite well. So he's a talented footballer. We need an attacking threat from him. He's given us that already in preseason. And we're expecting more improvement as his fitness levels increase and as the conditions suit him a bit better and maybe be a bit more used to what he's familiar with back home. But certainly is an exciting player and has a lot of talent.
Now, in terms of obviously your home facility this year, Aid, obviously you're not going to be playing on your normal ground. You've made the transition up to CB Smith Reserve. Is that going to help or hinder you in the league, given the fact that it is a very, very hard place to come to, Moreland City? Obviously, moving up to CB Smith, better facilities, better pitch, etc. From a coach's perspective, nothing could be done now because you're going there. But would you have liked to play your games down at your home venue?
Look, I think at the conclusion of last season, we obviously expected an evolution to a new facility or a different facility, and it was probably earmarked quite early that it would be CB Smith. So, not sure was probably the answer to the question. I know I mentioned last time I was on the show that I wasn't necessarily sure that our grounds suited us in so many ways. I mean, our away form was actually better than our home form last year. Yeah. It's going to be interesting for us. But I think from a mentality point of view, we've just had an understanding that will be our home ground. We need to face up to that reality and embrace it. So it will be different for us for sure because we're coming into a new home. It's not the facility we're used to. Not being able to train on there all the time is a factor as well. I mean, we're actually yet to train on the facility, so we'll do that first time leading into our first game there. So, we have to face up to that context as we do. We talk context a lot within the senior playing group around what we're facing, what are our challenges, where are we at, and that's just another factor. Pretty sure that our groups are based on last season and the fact that we have kept 3/4 of the squad, that they are good at adapting. Because again, even with our facility, we had challenges with access to the ground late last year with, the weather and the pitch sort of being underwater and things like that. So I'd like to think we're pretty adaptable, and that we talk a lot about trying to limit distractions and not let things get in the way of what we're facing up to. But we've known for a while we'll be CB Smith. So again, we'll face up to that, and confident that we'll make it our home and a bit of a fortress.
And now, Adrian, that will begin from this Saturday, Adrian, when the Bentleigh Greens come to visit, 3:00. All the Moreland City fans out there, get along and support the team there at CB Smith Reserve. But Bentleigh Greens, did you go along and watch their match against North Geelong on Friday night?
No, I didn't get there, but I did watch it. It was an interesting game. I mean, we're obviously aware of North Geelong and their abilities and their levels, and I think they they did have a decent game. I felt like Bentley started the game quite well and had a few chances to maybe score the first goal, which is important in any game of football, but couldn't make it happen. So we'll watch the footage a bit more closely as a group, sort of in the coming days, and have a think about what it's going to mean for us. But certainly from Thursday night's game against South, there's probably more in that for us to consider than our opponent.
Now, Adrian, if you wanted some pointers about playing Bentley Greens, do hang around, because we're going to be speaking to North Geelong coach Stuart Begg very, very shortly. He is in the green room. He'll be joining us shortly. But in the meantime, Adrian, a question I wanted to ask you. All of us coaches, Craig, yourself, you've coached, Steve, you've coached, I've coached myself. We're all crazy, obsessive types, 24/7. You're thinking about the game. You never rest until the off-season. How do you approach coaching NPL, the elite division, as opposed to NPL 2? Is it much of a muchness compared to what you were doing last year? Or do you find you have to analyse a lot more, prepare a lot more? How do you approach, training, the games as an NPL coach now compared to last year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we've, as a coaching group, we've been conscious of what we felt brought us success last year. And I suppose finding that balance between understanding, like I think again from Thursday night's game against South, there were moments that cost us that maybe existed in the margins or maybe in the preparations of what's required of coaches and players in following instructions and preparing for games. And that, I think that was sort of apparent to us upon reflection from Thursday night's game. We went into Thursday night, again, wanting to keep simple messages and making sure the players were really clear around what was required of them and not overcomplicating them with too much analysis, too much information on opponents, individual opponents, and overburdening them, because we felt that, again, what's brought us success last year was, again, some simple messages around what they needed to execute on. But upon reflection, we know we could have done things better, both as a coaching group and also as players. So I think we're still working on it, to answer your question, Tonchi. And I think it probably
it's
exists
a balancing
somewhere,
act, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably exists somewhere.
It's a real fine balancing act with giving them too much information and not enough information. I find that is the
and particularly with facing South, and that's no disrespect to anyone else in the league, but we had a big lead up. We knew we were playing South a long way out, so we were watching previous videos and looking at what we felt their strengths were, and it just sort of finding that balancing act was a bit tricky, particularly the team that have a long throw, very good on set pieces, quite direct, powerful fit. I mean, we're looking at all these things, but just trying to pick out the one and two bits and pieces that really resonate with the players. But as I said, if I'm being entirely honest, to concede on a corner for their second goal really hurts. I mean, that hurts in terms of either players not following messages or us not being prepared as best we could as coaches. And even the equaliser goal was a little bit sloppy at our end. So it's going to be a bit of a work in progress. But we I suppose similarly to what we've done with trying to maintain the playing group and show faith in the players, we're just trying to kind of understand we need to be a little bit more prepared in what we work on and what we understand and how we communicate, but not overburdening them with too much information.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's right. And as you mentioned, it's frustrating to concede those two goals in that way, but there must be some really good take-homes that you can build on from that particular match, despite the result not going the right way that you wanted in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting night in regards, I mean, for us, such a long time coming, and even from, individuals on our coaching team, long-term players that have been in the squad for a long time, and our supporters and committee members. I mean, we've got a lot of long-term people within our club. And for all those people, it's a proud moment to go and play South at South, opening up the season. So that was exciting. I was really confident that we'd compete. Again, just because I know the players were really looking forward to it. We backed their talent, and we knew that at a minimum we'd be able to compete at a level. I felt like we had a patch in the first half where it was probably our moment, and we just weren't quite clinical enough and able to kind of, I mean, we scored before half time, but we probably didn't dominate in terms of chances or create enough chances in that first half. But yeah, we kind of end up walking away from the game, I have to say, disappointed. I mean, there are elements, again, that are exciting, and we'll continue on and we'll remain positive. But like I said, conceding the goals the way we did and to come off the ground losing was ultimately a little bit hard to handle.
Well, you're certainly very, very competitive in your first outing, and it's great to see the new kids on the block. Breath of fresh air. Welcome to the NPL and the big dance, Adrian. We look forward to speaking to you throughout the season and wishing you all the very best. And as Steve mentioned, for all you Moreland City fans and anyone out there in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, come to CB Smith Reserve this Saturday, 3 p.m. Moreland City taking on Bentley Green. So wishing you once again all the very best. And thanks for being our very, very first NPL guest of season 2023.
That's great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Adrian. All the best, mate.
Thanks, Adrian.
See you guys. Take care.
We're going to take a very, very short break, and when we return, we've got Stuart Begg, the coach of North Geelong Warriors, who are sharing equal top spot after round one of the NPL Victoria competition. Folks, don't go away. It's the Football Out West Show, episode 102.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
And welcome back to the Football Hour, the first episode of 2023, and a big thanks to Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp, as well as the advertisement you just saw then, Guzman Finance. But it's time to chat to our next guest, and it is a jubilant coach of the North Geelong Warriors. Hello and welcome and congratulations on your result on Friday night. Stuart Begg, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me on tonight. And yeah, obviously was a good sleep on Friday night. So yeah, good way to start.
And can we just touch on as well, leading into that match, obviously a lot of emotional build-up, physical build-up as well for this. And then you get there and it's the middle of the afternoon, it was 40 or 41 degrees. How was your preparations on match day going into that mentally, and the logistics of getting everyone from Geelong to Kingston Heath for this match and being, in tune to come and deliver a good performance like you're able to do?
Actually, let me stop you there. You probably should ask him. What time he left Geelong to get to Bentley Greens to start off.
There's a sub question then. Yeah, all right.
I did take half a day off work. I think I left my house about 2:30 to get there in reasonable time to get up there for around about 5 o'clock. So, but yeah, the weather was a bit interesting. I think I did message some of the boys in the group saying I didn't take any jacket or jumpers or pants. I just had shorts and t-shirts at the time. So I was regretting that, but managed to find a jumper in the car, which was good. Yeah, look, we understood where we were going to be playing. A lot of the players knew the time frame. I did drive up there to watch Bentley play Oakley the Friday before, so I was very much aware of the traffic that was sort of going to be the issues on the way out there. So the players took that into hand, and we had no issues with the traffic getting up there logistically.
And then the first 15 minutes or so,
go. Sorry, Stu, welcome to the show. Good to have you on. Mate, I just wanted to say there's a lot of new faces in the squad. Marvin Browayler, who seems to have one of the goal scorers, did exceptionally well. He's stepping up from from NPL 3 to NPL 1. But Nikola Jurkovic, a seasoned campaigner in NPL 1, he's adding a lot of experience. Aidan Gardner, who's also had a bit of experience there. How important are some of these new players, particularly those two that we've mentioned just then, Gardner and Yurkovic to adding experience to, there's a lot of young guys there in the squad as well, a lot of inexperience, but Ryan Opperman, the captain as well, another one with previous NPL experience. How important is that blend of experience and youth?
It is very important. Look, we knew we were going to lose some players. Obviously, we lost about 5 or 6 players, so we knew we had to replace them, and it was just a natural thing to try to replace with NPL experience. And as much as Nicola's got experience, he's still relatively young himself. I thought he was much older than he was, to be honest. And Aiden's still relatively young as well. So, but it's more the experience that they brought with him. And Marvin, he may not have played NPL 1, but he played at a decent level in Germany. And obviously, we've seen him play an NPL level, and he was quite good as well. But yeah, we look to bring in that NPL experience for that reason, to complement the players and complement the youth we already had. So it was very important.
In the lead up to round 1, Stewie, how was pre-season? How did you see it through your eyes? Did everything sort of go to plan, or was there some bumpy bits getting to round 1?
Look, Adrian's probably touched on it before. He, being a rural club, things are very difficult for us to get things moving, as the club in North Geelong down at Elko Park. So we had our battles in multiple ways ourselves. That's off the pitch. The pre-season actually wasn't too bad. Fitness levels was a big thing for us. We were making sure that players were getting through games and not overloading in certain moments. And it was all about preparing them for round 1. We did have the local Geelong competition, the Geelong Cup, which, that was good for the community, but it's, again, it's about us mining the loads, because it's a lot of games in a shorter period in time. So like a pre-season was decent. But yeah, our goal was to get us prepared enough to be playing at a good level by round 1.
Craig.
Now, obviously, going into round 1 this, Stu, just watching the highlights of the goals from Friday evening, and a bit of a comical error in the defence there for Bentley for the first goal. But you also had your talisman, your captain, or your vice captain in Anthony Banovac missing for the first game of this season. How important was it that your players like Marvin, like Ryan, really stepped up, because the rest of them are a very young group of boys, aren't they?
Yeah, look, to have Anthony missing or Banner missing the first game was, it was a pretty big concern of mine. He's a very solid figure in the back, and we play much better when he's on the field. But, again, we've known for a long time he got suspended. He got his 5th yellow card against Moreland last game of the season. So we've known the whole pre-season he wasn't going to be there. So we've always had that backup plan of knowing how we're sort of roughly going to play and who's going to be in those positions. And someone like Marvin, who's come into that role, and to be honest, he probably missed nearly the entire pre-season. He came in on very, very late. He some circumstances that he had to take care of back in Germany. So yeah, trying to get him fit and trying to get him up to speed was very important. And yeah, we obviously without Banner, we make sure that everyone else on the field is picking up the slack, verbally and mentally.
Now, Stuart, we talk about the experienced players. We talk about some of these players that are, that were played on the weekend. But there was a young chap that came on in the second half, a fellow who's quite relatively new to football, Kai Williams. Now, this guy apparently he was an ex-AFL footballer, only started playing football, I think it was at the under-12s or 13s level. You know him from another club that you were involved in the past. But when he came on, the speed, the excitement, this looks like a real excitement machine. Tell us a bit about Kai, but tell us also about some of the other exciting young players down at Elko Park, because from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of young players that are going to set the field alight this year in the NPL.
So Kai, I've coached Kai since he was probably 14 years old. I was lucky enough to sort of have him at a younger age and seen the talent that he had, and very athletic individual, very quick, but was very raw. He was growing at a rapid rate as in height-wise very quickly, so getting his coordination and his speed together was probably the biggest complications that he had moving forward. he came over to North Geelong, I think, in 2020, I think it was, or 2019, I think 2020. And yeah, he's been an exciting talent. He was in the same sort of group that we had training with us last year, which with Noah Skoko and Rocco Ramage and Luka Vidovic and Luke Zivicic. They've always been in that sort of senior fold, and so he's always been in that group. And to get him on the weekend, was very happy. The boys are very happy to see him out there, and he can be a defender's nightmare with that speed. He's probably the quickest over that sort of distances that he showed on Friday night. He's exciting. So, he's going to be a handful for anyone who's got tired legs at the end of a game if he comes on. So, but with the young guys, look, we've got I wouldn't say an agreement, but we've had conversations at the club where we're looking to promote as many young kids as we can. And the reason being is because we're a rural club. We know that the future is within the younger groups that are coming through, the 16s, the 18s and 21s. And look, we try to blood players as soon as we can, as when we think it's right for them to sort of come into it. And, we've had, I think we signed Kyle Williams, we signed Luka Vidovic, Luke Zivicic, Mark Gudicic, Rocco Ramage. They're all on senior contracts at the club because we recognise that they're the next group that's coming through. And so we're expecting some really good, exciting things from that young group. And they're only 17 years old. So it's great to see them come through. And the older group, they understand where they are at, and they know that their role is to guide them through and, teach them the ways of what to play for North Geelong is.
Yeah, for sure. We might have to get on the Kai Williams hype train, perhaps, if we see him coming off the bench and exploiting more experienced players with his pace and youthful exuberance, perhaps, as the season goes on. But a player who's more experienced that you've signed, Beggsy, Aiden Gardner, he's a lot of experience at the top-tier NPL level with Hume City. What has he brought to the squad other than a goal as well in his opening game?
Look, Aiden's been I've got to thank my assistant Tommy Gavin for getting him across. It was, he had a injury plagued last season when he was at Hume, and Tommy just sort of got in contact with him and asked what he was up to and got him across, and he's gelled straight into the squad, and he's been a massive asset for us in the midfield. I mean, as you know, we lost pretty much our entire midfield from last year, apart from Ryan, in the middle of the park. So, bringing him in here with that NPL experience and, his, the ability he has to pick up the ball in between spaces and look to go forward and obviously score a goal, which is really good. He's been massive for us, so I can't really speak the volumes it's added to just the depth of our group to have him in there. So I was very happy he got a goal, and because he was out for the game for I think 8 months or something during that period when he had his injury. So for him to return in NPL 1 and get a goal, that was really special for him.
That's good to see.
Craig.
Now, we fast forward to this week. And before I do go, I must give a shout out to Tommy Gavin as well, because he was a little bit annoyed that I never said well done to him on social media in the week, but I gave you all the plaudits. And he did say that. And he did say that he wasn't going to listen tonight, but he's definitely listening because I've just seen a post. So there you go, Tom. Listen, Stu, obviously fast forward a week now and you've got your first home game down at Elco Park this weekend against Port Melbourne Shark. There's been a lot of work being done behind the scenes to make the club NPL standard. From your perspective now, first win, first 3 points, coming up against a very, very good Port Melbourne Shark side. What does your week look like on the park as you prepare for that one next Saturday?
Look, obviously, I spoke about our preparations. We'll move on to Port Melbourne as soon as we do a game review tomorrow night. And I just want to say out to the North Geelong that the board and the volunteers there over the past 3 to 4 months has been trying to get the club up to scratch, and they've done an amazing job, especially the pitch. Those who know Elco Park is, got to put a shout out to Rob Kosick for making sure that the pitch looks really nice and is a good condition. A lot to prepare for the club to get everything up to scratch. So they've done an amazing job. with Port Melbourne, I think they're a very well organised side. I actually watched a lot of their games last year. I like the way they played, and they're coached very well. So for us, we'll talk about them at the Monday, sort of at the end of the training session, sort of work our way forward. But every team is going to be tough in this league. So to say that one team is more important against another team, or how do we prepare? We prepare the same every single week. It will not change, because we've got 25 games to go, and I can guarantee every single one of them is going to be very, very tough.
Yeah. Well, Begsy, all the very best for the season ahead. Thank you for joining us. It has been a wonderful fairy tale start to the return to the top flight. First time the Warriors are in the NPL competition since 2017. And interesting statistic, after the completion of round one, North Geelong this year has equalled the amount of wins in the entire season of the 2017 campaign. So already they're doing something very, very historically good. But that game
he was going to resign on Saturday morning.
On a high.
After one game, he was done.
Go out on a high. But the game against Port Melbourne Sharks, that is at Alco Park, 5 p.m. And gents, we are all involved in NPL commentary. Hopefully we'll be at some time this year at Alco Park, but there's a whole new commentary tower as well, amongst the plethora of improvements there at the ground. So get yourself out to Alco Park. It's going to be a pleasant 29 degrees on Saturday. So that game against the Port Melbourne Sharks should be an absolute beauty. And we look forward, Stuart, to watching new North Geelong Warriors in action this year in the NPL Victoria competition.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Wish you all the best,
Stuart. All the best.
Gents, all right. Well, we're going at a very, very cracking pace. But Steve, have you got the fixtures for next week? Let's go through NPL Victoria Round 2 competition matches. All the games are on Friday and Saturday. No Sunday games. There you go. No Sunday games next week. But if you've got those fixtures handy, let's go through some of them for Round 2.
Yeah. I have indeed. So Friday and Heidelberg United at the same time. We've got the 9 champions, the Cannons. 8 o'clock on Friday, Green Gully hosting South Melbourne. So some mouth-watering clashes on Friday. Moving along to Saturday, the 3 o'clock kickoff we mentioned earlier with Aidan Mathers is Moreland City. Bentley Greens at CB Smith. 3:15 sees Avondale host Altona Magic at 5 o'clock. The NPL goes to Regional Victoria for the first time in a little while. North Geelong Warriors against the Port Melbourne Sharks at Alco Park, and rounding out the round at 7 o'clock at George Andrews, it is Dandenong Thunder and the St Albans Saints.
What an awesome triple header that is. Avondale versus Moreland City and Bentley Greens. Avondale and Altona Magic on the Saturday at 3:15. North Geelong at 5 and Port Melbourne, and then Dandenong Thunder and St Albans at 7 p.m. So if you can't get out to any of those games, do catch the live streams. Gents, we're going to take a very, very quick break. When we return, it is going to be our third and final guest for the evening as we turn our attention to NPL 2. A newly expanded format, and boy, some of the teams that are in that competition, it is going to be an absolute cracker of a division. And it all started on Friday night with a big game, massive crowd between Preston and Pascoe Vale. We'll find out all about what went down there at BT Connor Reserve when we speak to the coach of Pascoe Vale, Alex Kobe. He's going to be joining us very, very shortly after the break. Folks, don't go away. It's the Football Out West Show. Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit, Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Core, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Core specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Core can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscore.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Core are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Well, welcome back to the Football Out West show, and we're going to now turn our attention. Steve, Craig had to just step out for a short while, but hopefully he will be back shortly. Maybe it was a toilet stop, an unscheduled toilet stop. I'm not too sure. We're going to go through the NPL 2 results firstly before we bring our guest, Alex Cobo from the Pascoe Vale Football Club on. Now, it all kicked off on Friday night. Ripper games on Friday night. We had, I think, 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go through those results of round 1 of the NPL 2 competition. Steve.
Yeah, so we kicked off with Dandenong City, the new boys to NPL 2 after going down, but they've got a crack team of really good players, and they got up 2-0 against Brunswick City, who had a good season a couple of years ago in the cancelled and shortened season and didn't get promoted. But really good start at Frank Holohan for Dandy City. I got along for a little look at BT Connor Reserve, and there was a lot of people there, as you would expect. But the Preston Lions didn't get the chocolates. They went down 2-1 to their near rivals from across the Merry Creek, Pascoe Vale, 2-1. So they spoiled the party there. Brunswick Juventus and Werribee City, a match that no doubt Craig was casting a keen eye over. Let's say 1-1 finished there. Northcote City 1, Melbourne City 2 at John Cain. That was also on Friday night. A lot of Friday night games to get your head around. Manningham United Blues 3-1 winners against the Bulleen Lions. There was a bit of drama there at Petty's Reserve, which I'm sure if anyone was there, they might be able to put in the comments. Lang Warren 3-2 over Kingston. And the score from this afternoon, I'm hearing from City Vista, is that Western United have got over the recently relegated Eastern Lions 1-0, Tonchi. And here's some footage from Dandenong City's win. They left it late, didn't they?
They did. Good crowd. Another year. As we said, massive crowd at BT Connor Reserve. Some really interesting games, really interesting clubs that are going to be coming, that are going to be participating in expanded 14-team competition format, 26-round season. We saw last year 22 rounds, just not nowhere near enough. But it's great to see some big clubs, big name clubs. And look, Brunswick Juventus, Preston Lions, some of those clubs that are in the competition. We see Caroline Springs, George Cross, they're in NPL 3, so they'll certainly be itching to make that jump up to NPL 2. Dandenong City, they would have to be one of the hot favourites. They've really recruited well.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Tolios, he's a seasoned campaigner. He's running the show there. As far as the Dandenong City change room is concerned. But we're going to bring our next guest on. A team that was really unlucky to get there last year. They figured very, very prominently in the battle for promotion, and we certainly expect them to be amongst the contenders again this year. And that's Pascoe Vale FC. And the coach of Pascoe Vale, Alex Cobo, joins us. Alex, good evening and welcome to the Football Out West show.
Good evening, guys. Can you guys hear me properly?
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely, loud and clear. Yeah, wherever you are, your internet's so much better than Craig's was, and Craig was having all sorts of issues. But Alex, let's first of all talk about Pascoe Vale's win on the weekend against Preston. You spoiled the party. Lots and lots of supporters. Do we know exactly how many supporters turned up to BT Connor Reserve on Friday night?
Honestly, I'm not sure the exact number. Always the talks were that they were expecting around 3,000 to 4,000 people on the night. Obviously, the atmosphere was fantastic. I mean, it would be amazing to have that kind of crowd attending all our games. Obviously, everyone knows that the Preston bring that kind of crowd pretty much every week, and that's something that I think it plays to their advantage all the time.
Steve?
Yeah, definitely. And what was your message to your players, Alex, going into this one being first game of the season? So maybe a bit of jitter in round one, and also playing in front of such a big crowd in a really atmospheric football melting pot of BT Reserve.
Look, guys. I mean, to be honest with you guys, we have high expectations of ourselves, and the club, and we take every single game very serious. We want to do really well this season, as we did last season, and our objective is to win the league. We don't hide from that. We want to be the number one team in the MPL2, and I said to the boys that we have 26 games to prove that there is no one game more important than the other. This is every game we want to go and we want to win, and we want to be the number one team in the MPL2 competition, and we need to take and fight for every ball like is the last one. And I think that pretty much is the message that we give it to the boys and say, look, I mean, this game is gonna be tough, same as the number 2 and number 3 and all of them, and we're trying to give the best we have at the moment, and I think obviously we got the result, and we're very happy to take the 3 points.
Now, I know every coach is going to say they're all difficult and we'll take every game week by week. But if we go through some of the contenders that we feel might be up there fighting for a promotion spot, Brunswick, Juventus, I mean, Werribee City have recruited very, very well. Obviously, Northcote City will always look to try and get there. Dandenong City, Western United and Preston Lions, the new kids on the block, would certainly be trying to do their bit to get there, as the case with Melbourne City. Who, in your opinion, is the team to really keep an eye out for? Who is the one that everyone's expecting will be the toughest opponent when you come up against them this year?
Look, I mean, I think it will be very very harsh for me to pick one team when we haven't seen all the teams in the competition. But we know from what we know of signings and the style of football, all the professional academies, Melbourne City, Western, they're normally solid football, possession based, high pressing, very dynamic. Then you have the likes of Dundee City, Preston, with a lot of experienced players, experienced coaches. Easter Lions, they just came from MPL1. We can never rule them out. Northcote City signed really well. Look, honestly, I think every single team brings something to the table that makes them very special, and I think we, I honestly believe if any, I guess the teams who are coming from MPL1, they guess they want to go back straight away, Dandenong City and Easter Lions, but I think it is like I think you said it at the beginning of the show that MPL2 competition, it will be a cracker of the competition, and I think it is. It is so hard to define a team that is going to go ahead, in front of all the teams that we have, and it's hard to predict and hard to know.
Now, Alex, we know you've got a pretty yeah, we know you've got a pretty deep squad when you've got talents like Nick Georgopoulos starting on the bench on Friday night. Was he disappointed to start on the bench, or he seemed to be jogging up and down the touchline warming up with the cheeky smile like he was going to come on and score a winner? And he did that. Is he going to become like a Garang Qual figure where he just comes on and scores in the second half, or is he looking? Was he filthy? He didn't get a start.
Oh, look, I mean, I don't think we have any doubt that Nicky is a super important player for us. He's a key player for us. But I personally believe that he can do more. He can be more consistent. And pretty much, it was a technical decision for me to leave him on the bench. That doesn't mean he's going to be there for the rest of the season. That means that for that particular game, I thought we had different players who could do really well. And I honestly believe, and I said it to him, I knew that he was going to score. I didn't want to tell him, because if I was going to say that, he was going to look at me, and say, Alex, you just only saying this because you dropped me. But, I thought about it. And when he scored, it was kind of, funny how everything worked out. But, Nicky, even if he was on the bench, he was carrying the bottles. He was very humble he took the decision, I guess, in a nice way, and it's a lot of credit. He becoming more mature. That when he left Pascoe, and now he has returned, and he adds a lot of value to our team, and we expect him to have an amazing season with us.
Now, mate, I don't know about you, but we're absolutely excited about the fact that it's an expanded season, 26 rounds as opposed to 22 rounds. As a coach, you're probably saying, oh my gosh, it's an extra month. It's an extra month of headaches and stress. But how do you approach, or how have you approached the preseason this year compared to previous years, knowing that the squad now has got 4 extra games on top of that, so the season is longer? Have you had to change your preseason training regime? Have you had to kind of maybe look at expanding your squad or getting players that could probably last that distance? How have you approached this year a little bit different compared to previous years?
Well, obviously, with the season being longer, we understand that players. I mean, we're talking about semi-professional players that they do full-time jobs during the day. Some of them with labor and very physical kind of jobs, and then they come to training. So going through our 26 season, especially how close and how competitive the league is, it would be absolutely crazy for us not to be prepared, taking the necessary adjustments in terms of squad and quality. And I think we have done that. We have a sufficient squad, good enough squad, in our opinion, to deal with the 26 games competition. We had 27 players that they are with us, including some of the under 21 players that we have pretty much elevated to the senior squad in a permanent basis, because we understand that in order for us to have any chance to win the title, we need to have the quality, and we need to have players ready to step up whenever it's required. And that's number one, the squad, and two, the principles of how the team is being used and how the players have been used. I think from day one, Oliver, myself, we're trying to set up the principles of how the team is going to operate in terms of who plays and how do you going to stay in the team. And I think that those principles are very important for the well-being of the squad in the long term, and I think the boys understand that here, if they do well and if they're performing, if they do the right things at training and during the games, there is no reason for them not to play, and right now during preseason we trying to share and be very generous with game time for everyone. But now that the season has started, then is slightly different. We went up with the team that we believe that it has give us the higher chances to win every game, and then we need to make this kind of decision.
Yeah, and I'm sure factoring in that as well is your defensive game, which looks very strong based on what we saw on Friday night as well, from Pavlidis in goal to the back four and the defensive part of your midfield as well. Preston did enjoy a bit of possession during the match, but they weren't really able to play in and get in behind with their front three being ineffective a lot of the game. What was your defensive plan going into the match on Friday night?
Okay, Steve, I mean, I think one key aspect of a coach, and this is my opinion, is to understand in what level, conditions, capability your squad is. Okay, and we believe that our team, we would like to finish having more possession football, having more control of the games. Be able to change systems. Similar like how we finished last year. We finished in an absolutely high note, towards the end of the season. But right now, believe it or not, that team that you guys saw there, they haven't played not even 1 minute together. All the 11, all the 11 players, before. I mean, whatever you guys saw for me was kind of new too.
Yeah.
So not because we didn't want, because like I said to you guys, there are some principles that we want to use in how the team is being picked. No, give them a lot of clarity to the players. And then right now we come to round one, and we have the quality, no doubt, but also we need to understand that sometimes we need to simplify our game plan to make it comfortable, gain confidence, and win as many points as possible. But during the week, we're working super hard to make sure that we bring back all the things that we want to include in our team, in our football style.
Well, the next step, the next assignment is another blockbuster, is another cracker of a game. Friday night, round 2 clash at CB Smith Reserve against Dandenong City. So this could be a real battle of the heavyweights. Pascoe Vale hosting the relegated Dandenong City, who are very keen to get back into the top flight. That game kicks off at 8:15 p.m. on Friday night. Alex, thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. We look forward to speaking to you or to the very colourful Pascoe Vale president, Lou Tanner, as well throughout the year, or one of the players. But wishing you all the very best for the year ahead. It's going to be a long year, but, mate, I can't wait for the whole season. It's just going to be absolutely
It's
fantastic.
off to a good start.
It is. And thank you once again for joining us. All the best for the season ahead.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks very much, Alex. All the best.
Mate, well, that brings us to the end of the show. Once again, a big thank you to our major sponsor this year, NJT Carpentry, and also Home Builders Core. They've been absolutely fantastic, becoming our major sponsor this year, taking over from Caroline Springs George Cross, who have been wonderful major sponsors of our show over the last few years. Before we go, let's go very quickly through some of those games, or let's go through all of those games in NPL 2 Round 2. Obviously, NPL 3 in the state leagues and the VPLW, NPLW, that all kicking off a bit later on. Craig's going to join us as we are about to say a good night. But Pascoe Vale at home to Dandenong City on Friday night. Also Friday night at John Kay Memorial Park, Northcote City taking on Lang Warren. And then, Steve, several Saturday games.
Yeah, Werribee City are going to be hosting the big one against Preston Lions at Costas Mitre 10, 3 o'clock on Saturday. Brunswick City at Dunstan Reserve. Who will. And Brunswick City are hosting the Western United, newly promoted Western United NPL squad, 3 o'clock as well. Also at 3, Eastern Lions at Gardeners Creek against Manningham United Blues. A little later on in the piece, Monday night, 2 Monday night games, in fact. Kingston City hosting Brunswick Juventus at 8:15 at the Grange, and at the Veneto Club, it's FC Bulleen Lions against Melbourne City, another newly promoted team in this division.
Welcome back, Craig. And Craig, that game, Werribee City, Preston Lions, it's got all the hallmarks of a blockbuster. You were saying off the camera that the Preston Lions fans travel in a major way. They're expecting a massive crowd at that, and Werribee City as well. The fans will be keen to see all the improvements there at Costa's Mitre 10 pitch. Mate, it's going to be an exciting weekend next weekend.
Yeah, it is, Donch. It's the games you look forward to as a player, as a coach, as a club, to play the likes of Preston, who potentially could be bringing 1,500, 2,000 people down. If that happens, fantastic. But look, as a football club, we're worried about what we're doing. We're not worrying about too much about others. It's an important game for the club. Important game for the new group of players that we've got. So we're working hard on the training park this week, and hopefully give it everything we got next Saturday.
All right, gents, thank you very much for joining us on this first show for season 2023. And thank you to everyone for tuning in to the Football Out West show. We look forward to having your company next week at the new time of 8 p.m. And until then, good night and have a great week. It's going to be a hot one, but we look forward to having your company next Sunday night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.